For the first time, we have done a full-on weedless version of the Savage Sandeel. This is the Sandeel V2 Weedless, but I'm going to call it the Weedless Sandeel because it makes life easier. We've got the 11.5 centimetre one, and then we've got a brand new size, the 13 centimetre. These are the two sizes we're doing for the Weedless Sandeel. There are 6 different colours, and these lures float my boat. My big thing from day one working with Savage Gears, we want to make bass fishing as approachable and easy to understand as possible. So what we've done here very deliberately is use the Savage minnow and the Weedless Sandeel to share the same rigging system. Both weedless lures share the same way of putting them together, getting them to work, so you haven't got to use one and then think, how do I use the other one? Both lures work in essentially the same way. When you buy the Sandeel V2 Weedless like this, you're getting one complete lure, which is pre-rigged. You've got one spare body. Don't go throwing those toothpicks away because they're part of the Pro Peg mounting system. And they come like this, ready to go, but I'm going to deconstruct the lure and then put it back together so you know how to rig it yourself if you ever go buying any of the spare jig heads, the spare hooks, or if you catch so many fish, which would be great obviously, that you trash that body, you want to know how to get the new body on and secure it in place. As with the Savage minnow, there are 3 basic components to the Weedless Sandeel. Then I've got the toothpick, which I'm going to keep here. That is vital, okay? We've got your weedless hook, you've got your jig head, and you've got the body of the lure. You will notice that jig head has the weight of the actual head, the head itself, not the complete lure, the head itself on the bottom of the jig head, and also, very deliberately again, the design of the jig head on the Weedless Sandeel is different to the jig head on the conventional J-hook Sandeel, all right? What we're going to do is take the weedless hook and attach it to the jig head. You think it wants to go on like that, conventionally, it doesn't. You almost want to do it backwards, okay? On it goes. Now we want you to force it on, as in you've got to push it. There'll be an audible click, because once that's in, it's in. Hear this? Okay, that is now secured in place. It articulates, totally free movement. Then I will take the body of the lure itself, and you will see there is a slot in the top there, and that slot underneath is to take the hook and the rigging system. That slot marries up with that metal spike coming out of the back of the jig head. All I do, and this is why I love it, it's so simple. Just put that into there. Okay, see how that hook sits underneath there quite naturally? Now, we've given you 2 different ways to secure the body of the lure to the back of the jig head. The conventional way is to drop a bit of super glue in there. And look, if you like doing that, it works really well. My days of super glue are over, but that works really well, okay? The other simple way, really simple way, and it's brilliant, we use the toothpick, we go through that mark on the body of the lure. That then means it takes you through the hole in that spike that comes out of the back of the jig head. Now, that is as tight and as secure as glue. It is absolutely foolproof and brilliant, and that's a little toothpick. All I'm going to do is take my pliers or my cutters, Cut the end off, keep that, just nudge it through. Cut the end off. That now is as secure as anything. You will catch fish after fish after fish. That body will not move. I'm swallowing a toothpick. Now I'm going to actually put the hook through the body of the lure. You'll find a slot back in there, okay? All you do is put that hook in there, through there. That means it comes out directly into that groove back here. And that now is the weedless sand eel that you can fish through and over anything. I'm going to use this smallest weedless sand eel as almost like a searching lure, okay? I'm going to search all these holes, all these gullies, and almost use it like a hard lure. But again, because I got that weedless design, I feel I can fish it far closer to snags, far closer to the bottom without worrying about snagging it up. This one is 11.5 centimeters. It's 22 grams total weight, and I've deliberately gone for white. Again, it's not bass fishing conditions, but I really like white in sunny conditions. So I'm fishing like a hard lure, okay? Whack it out for a gully, let it hit. And the reason that jig head design is different on the weedless sand eel as opposed to the conventional J-hook sand eel is this one really likes being swum that little bit slower. That head, like the Savage minnow, helps to hold it up, really promotes that roll with a kick of the paddle tail. But again, if I cast out and think, oh, there's a nice hole there, we designed the head so I can hit the bottom, and if I want, I can bump that lure and not worry too much about being snagged. But I love this smaller size. You know, I do like smaller bass lures, and I like this smaller size because it's just, it works on all the rods. It casts really well. It takes really quite surprisingly bouncy conditions without any problems, and I can just fish it very much like I said, like a hard lure. I'm doing nothing more now than retrieving it like a hard lure. I can let it drop a bit, sink and draw, like that. You come up, wind down with the lure, come up. So I'm up over a rock there, you see I can feel it. Up over a rock, back in, fishing. And then I'm going to run this lure right in the middle of that gully there, okay? It's a really accurate lure to cast, he says. There we go, bang. Oh God, it's not a bad cast actually, Henry. And then I'm actually slowing it right down. And again, I'm not going to worry because I've got that hook point buried away. It's that weedless design. You know, I can use this, I can control the depth the lure is swimming at with the speed of my retrieve. So that's quite deep now. But then if I was to do the same cast into the same area, like that, now I'm going to let it hit the bottom. God, it's deep. Boom, there, just then. I'm going to wind up, wind up, wind up, wind up, let him drop. Boom, there you go. And now that retrieve is bringing on that lovely angle up like that. So you felt it bump rocks again, no problem at all. There's a nice little hole in there, you see. to be honest, I will do this sometimes, okay? Even when, today, conditions are, we know the weather's lovely, the conditions are useless for bass fishing, but I think sometimes it can actually almost pay off to come to some of your bass marks in the brightest, clearest, calmest conditions you can, because you can get such a sense of the lie of the land. I can see, I can see rocks, I can see holes. I'm almost sort of mentally mapping the area. So when I come back and I've got those lovely onshore, bouncy conditions, and I can't see what's going on underneath the water, I now have a sort of mental image of where I want to be putting these lures. See, that's right on the side of a rock there. I would never put a hard lure like that. Oh, so I'm literally bumping on the top of a rock and back in the water. One of the things I really like about these Savage Gear Sandeels is probably the most obvious thing. Think about the name, Sandeel, okay? Bass love Sandeels, we know that. And I love the profile of these lures is your typical Sandeel. But, as I said before, I love options with my bass fishing and my bass lures. And the old Savage Gear Sandeel, we know is lethal. On a J hook, it's accounted for loads of bass, for loads of people. But I never ever would have dropped that lure down to the bottom where it's rough as rats like this. Yeah, for sure, bump them in current and estuaries, work them in the surf over clean sand. But this weedless version is now giving me those more options. I can fish it like the J hook, but if I want to drop it, I want to bump the bottom, it's perfect. It's kind of almost given me that cross between the Savage Minnow, the weedless version, and then the J-hook version of the Savage Gear Sandeel. This weedless Sandeel gives me, for some places, gives me the best of both worlds. See, on the bottom, oh, that tap. The water's so calm, you just feel, boom, the rod acts like a telephone. Honestly, if I put a J-hook lure down in there with that pointy head, which we know is great for casting and swimming, if I put that in there, I bet you any money I'd snag within a couple of seconds. I can feel, you can look, of course you can lose a weedless lure at this kind of ground, but I am now putting a Sandeel profile lure where I want. And I really, really like that. I can feel, oh, that ground is evil, man. Then I'm up and over, and now swimming it like a hard lure. I'm swimming it like a Sandeel. I think so much of all our fishing, but especially so much of lure fishing, is about visualization, okay? When I cast a lure like the Sandeel out, whack it out, and wind it in, I am thinking Sandeel. I am thinking that I am presenting a Sandeel to a bass, or a pollock. The pollock love these lures as well. And that gives me a huge amount of confidence.